Dawson Rider Wiki.
Hey YouTube, Dawson Rider here. Welcome to my review for the Automorphin Pink Ranger from the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Hasbro update of the classic Automorphin figures. This is part of Wave 1, but I could not find her with it. In fact, out of the 5 places I saw them at, it wasn't until the 5th place that I actually found her. I'm not sure why. Maybe, I know she's short packed, but maybe she doesn't come in some boxes. I'm not sure. But the point is, she was hard to find, but I wanted to complete the review. And also, at the end of the review, I'm going to have some updated thoughts on these figures, but I'm going to save it to the end so that I don't bore anybody that's just here to see the figure. So, as I mentioned, these are updates of the old Automorphin figures. So instead of just using the same mold, they kind of took the general idea and tried to update it, but still make it look kind of dated, and that's kind of where my thoughts were of like, I understand why they wanted to do this, but I'm not sure why they wanted to do it in this way, just because it's kind of strange looking. And I do have some comparisons. I'm going to pull some in a minute. I don't have my physical regular one, so I'll put up a picture of that, and then I'll pull up a picture of a minute of the head to compare it for the civilian head of the classic one. But, you know, this looks fine. It looks just like the other ones. The head sculpt's not too bad. You know, it looks a little bit plain. Like, I feel like there's a little bit details missing up here, but it's whatever. It's definitely got a very bulky body, a little bit of a hot pink color going on there. And the comparisons I brought in are of the Zeo and Turbo ones, because the bulky bodies existed on the original Mighty Morphin ones, but it even more so reminds me of the Zeo and Turbo ones. And then you have sort of the painted on Morpher here that looks kind of like a sticker. It's not a sticker, but you do get a little bit more articulation here. You can move in and out here, and the elbows move if you can get them to bend. They're really stiff here. Let's see, try this one. There we go, really stiff there, so be really careful with that. These are some of the stiffest ones I got. And then you get a little bit of leg motion here, and then a really stiff knee joint. Come on, side. There we go, really stiff joints on this one. You can't move the head. I commented on this in the original review, but I'm not sure why they couldn't make it possible to just turn the head and still have the flip gimmick. Like, you'd probably have to realign it to flip properly, but I think that would be fine, because the head articulation is kind of nice, but then you're posing it, and the head looks static, and I've mentioned in numerous figure and Megazord reviews that I think just being able to turn the head a little bit adds a lot of personality. Like, if this was just a figure that had no articulation and stood like this, but she was able to turn her head, even that would give a little bit personality. So as opposed to the previous ones, which had the buckle standing out and you use it to flip, they use this back flip gimmick, and it can continuously flip. And there you have Kimberly's face, which I actually think is one of the worst ones. Like, she's got a smudge on there, which is kind of a you know, paint mistake, paint error, but she doesn't even look like Kimberly. She looks like a guy named Tim. Like, I don't know, it's just weird. So I'll show a comparison. The old ones aren't the best. I feel like I was remembering them better than they were when I put up the comparisons in my last review, but I feel like some of the spirit of them was a little bit better. Like, these ones, it's like they're trying, but they also got put through a weird warped machine. But so just for a few comparisons here, you have this one. Obviously it's the metallic version, but you get the general idea of the base mold here, and this isn't going to have the right head because it's Catherine, but you can see the differences there. This actually is a little bit less bulky around the chest, and the helmet, I would say that it's actually a little more accurate on this one, but I kind of prefer this one a little bit, but you can see the differences in the mold there. Then you have the Zeo ones, and this one has the weird muscles on it, and it looks like those thumb villains from Spy Kids. But these ones just reminded me more of these ones here, because the bulky look just immediately made me think of the Zeo and Turbo flip heads. And they use the same mechanism here on Zeo. Turbo has the legs clicked together. Zeo uses this back one. If I'm being honest, I actually thought using the morpher here for the flip was a little bit more clever, because it was literally morphing them, and the buckle does stick out a little bit, so I thought that was kind of neat. I'm not sure why they decided to change that. And just lastly here at the end, she only comes with 2 weapons. Her basic white blade blaster, which is pretty much just like the old school ones, and her power bow. And now that you have it, you'll be able to combine it with some of the other weapons. When they finally release all the others, I'll just show it all combined at once at the same time. Overall, my thoughts on this kind of stand. I mean, I think if you really want a niche collectible and you don't want to buy the old ones, then sure, go for it. They're fine, they're whatever. But they're not something I'm jumping out of my seat to recommend. Like I said in the previous review, as far as these go, if you really want that nostalgic toy, I would almost just go back and get the original Automorphin ones, because it's just such a weird update. Now, for what I was going to talk about at the end here of clarifying my thoughts on this, in the last review I said I'm not sure why they made them, and lots of people said, well, it's because the Automorphins were popular. And yes, I understand why they wanted to make them. My point was, I don't understand why they took this direction in terms of sort of updating it but not making it seem modern, because I think they could make some really cool actual modern Automorphin figures. However, I also happen to think about that they said if these do well and they release more, that not just fill out the team, but they might do some weird ones like Ranger Slayer, and I could see maybe Draken. Then I could see a case for these. Like for these Core 5 and 6 that we might get, it's just weird to have these ones that are like updated but still old. But I can see the appeal and down the line getting something like Ranger Slayer or Draken or the Omegas or something in this style, because it would be kind of cool to have a 90s-like figure of a modern mmpr design. So I think it'll just kind of unfold, and the story of these figures might be an interesting one. That's about it for this one, guys, though. Until next time, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and climb the steps and ring that bell to get notifications for my videos. Dawson Ryder, signing out.